and I'm the managing partner at Flipa, a consultancy from Bogotá, Colombia. And I'm going to give you 3 key points that describe the context and the situation that we're living here in Colombia, especially in Bogotá. First of all, we have been going through quarantine process since March 18, and we're going to get through it until May 11. And the only fragment of our economy that is functioning is about public services, agriculture, medical service, deliveries, transportation, and everything else has gone digital. That means that banks, supermarkets, and drugstores are the only ones that are functioning nowadays. And on a daily basis, you can only go out on specific days, and it depends on whether you're a man or a woman. Females go out on even days and males on odd days, and we have to keep a distance of 2 meters per person. That's the overall context of what we are living. In order to start with my description of the photo, I want to begin with a story so you can gather more context of what I'm living here. And I want you to imagine the following situation. Let's say that you're planning to live abroad and you choose a Latin American country that's called Colombia, and the capital city, Bogotá, which has 8 million inhabitants. And as soon as you get here, you realize that the context or the way in which the city is divided is with socio-economical strata. And you wonder, what is it all about? So Bogotá is divided into 6 socioeconomical strata. 1 is the lowest one and 6 is the higher one. And in the most formalistic aspect, these numbers indicate citizens how much they have to pay in taxes, how much they have to pay for the monthly utilities. But in real life, these numbers have a different meaning. They carry a social and cultural meanings. So for example, if you are to live within the 1 social strata to 3 social strata, then perhaps in some way you are perceived as the lower class. In some cases, 4 is for the medium classes, and 5 and 6 is for the highest classes. And this has nothing to do with the economical capacity that people have. The numbers is what the numbers represent. With this, there's a tacit rule in which you cannot perhaps be associated, or you wouldn't want to be associated, the lower class. And what does this mean to our process and the images that we're seeing? What we're seeing on the first picture is a man lying inside a restaurant. He's sitting on the floor wearing jeans and a black jacket, and no one else is with him. And we are able to see vibrant colors. On the floor, you see that a flag is painted, the UK flag. He's sitting inside this food court with no light in it because no one is working there. So what is he doing? He's staring at his phone. He's next to a delivery backpack because he works for a company that's called, in Spanish, domicilios.com, in English, delivery.com. And I noticed him because of this backpack. And when I took the photo, I was asking myself, what is he doing here? If the streets are empty, because they are, why did he choose this place? And why is he not enjoying the sun? So in order to answer these questions, I started to ask myself, what happens on a daily basis here where he's in? First thing that I noticed is that the food court, it is located in the north part of the city. It is a place that medium and high classes frequent. So it would be difficult, according to the social structures, for him to be within that place and not to be thought of as an outsider. However, as we are with the COVID situation, no one is there to judge him. No one. As for picture number 2, it is not uncommon to see this following scene. Rappies, this is what we call to the delivery guys that work for a Colombian company that is called Rappi. They gather together. Before this happened, when we saw these Rappies on the streets, or when people saw them, they would not actually look at them, pretending that they were not there at that place. They would even move their bodies not to touch them because they do. So what I'm saying here is that they perhaps become an invisible landscape. Here is that they are not keeping their distance. They are not following the rules of being 2 meters apart from each other. And what I was wondering when I took the photo, what's going to happen when we see or perceive that these type of groups, these delivery guys, are not following the cleanliness exact rules. And this is what led me to the third slide. This led me to think about this person. He's what we're seeing is a comedian. It is a white man in his middle 30s, and this comedian is enacting, or he has a character that is called One Piece. He enacts everything that he thinks it's wrong with our culture. So he mocks about how wealthy people, all the highest classes, and what he brings into the table as for this discussion is that whenever he talks about these invisible people, the delivery guys, he uses words, very hard words, such as they are disgusting, we don't want to be near them, it is difficult to understand their reality, their perspective. It is a very harsh critique. However, the words that he stated struck my attention because whenever we see these rappies not in very close groups and having very intimate moments, I was wondering what is going to happen when society sees that. Is this going to push forward this sort of way of thinking of wealthy people in which they do not want to, for the invisibles or this kind of people to touch them? This photo represents is that this division between females and males that I was speaking at the beginning of the presentation. Yeah. So females can only go out on even days and men on odd days. Because the government says it is easier for the police to spot if someone is breaking the rules. People have realized that this has a very heteronormative perspective. Even the LGBTQ community was talking about how they felt because of this. They felt uncomfortable, not included, discriminated perhaps, because they were being, it was difficult for them to know in which days they could actually go out. So we're talking about, I think, power struggles.
Natalia, any symbol that strikes you?
Yeah, well, our major, Claudia Lopez, and she's trying to speak to the public every time she appears on national TV or even the radio as if we were friends. So she tells us that we are beautiful, that we are behaving okay, that we are all in this together. She's even making tutorials as if she were like a YouTuber or something like that. And she really tries to relate with the audience on an emotional side. And I think that she's trying to portray this calmness, this serenity that she's asking for the audience. And it's actually having good results. 75% of the people that live here in the capital are taking the measures very seriously.
How prevalent is that notion that all this COVID stuff is a lie? Does that come up in Bogotá at all?
Well, here actually it hasn't come up because people have been taking this very seriously. They are very scared. We don't have the economical resources as a country to respond to an epidemic. We don't have enough hospital resources. Beds, for example, we're lacking on that. We had to create an emergency care units, but very artisanal, very handmade. We know that we cannot do this to our city, to the country, because we wouldn't be able to handle it.
Towards the informal economy, has that picked up in the rural areas? Are the conditions differently in the rural areas?
I actually couldn't really say how the situation is on the rural areas, because what I know here, for example, in Bogotá, is that informal work represents 47% of the total inhabitants that we have and the total scope. So there's a large amount of informal workers. We have lots of Venezuelan people that have came here because of the crisis and evicted from their apartments or places because they have not income, because they are not working. They need to stay at home. So